I don't want to say I don't want to talk about today's topic. Clearly, I'm here. No one has forced me to do this, but there is an element of cringe to this Melania Trump documentary that you may have heard of, that I worry for myself. I don't know if I'm actually going to make it through this video with all of my brain cells intact. Will I still have a personality after this? I guess we'll find out. Who here has never heard of Melania Trump? None of y'all raise your hands, okay? We're not talking about a pop star. We're not talking about an actor. Well, one could argue there's a lot of acting going on, but that's neither here nor there. We're talking about the United States president's wife, the first lady. What happens if you just Google her? You get her White House press photo. This is so funny because low-key, this is such a good introduction to Melania as a concept. She's so fake. Even the official White House portrait that they put out for her was airbrushed to absolute insanity, borderline not a real person, but unfortunately very much a real person and complicit and an accessory to so much nasty stuff that goes on with this administration. But yeah, she is so deeply concerned with how she appears at all times, and that could even be considered a thesis of this video. So I'm going to be real with you. I stopped following news about her like during the first Trump administration. I was just like, I don't ever want to hear about this person. There's never anything interesting happening. It's always some kind of hateful or apathetic thing that's going on with Melania Trump. And so because of that, I did not know that she's been doing a lot. If you have not been following the Melania verse, you might have missed some things. I personally did not actually know that she got into crypto. I'm sure many of you probably know this already. I didn't know that the first lady of the United States was doing crypto. Melania Trump's meme coin architects accused of pump and dump fraud in lawsuit. This is literally official stuff. Cryptocurrency launched by the US First Lady. This isn't just like someone made a meme coin in her honor. She's also been, I guess, peddling her unpublishable memoir. I call it unpublishable. It was published, obviously, but when you have to go to the same publishers who were behind books from Woody Allen and Alex Jones, I'm going to go ahead and say by most accounts, nobody actually wanted to publish this except people who have already given up on life. And so you've got the book Melania. By the way, if you're like, oh, that cover, that's a really boring default cover, that's the actual cover. This is just such a good representation. She's like, avoid. This is great too. This is from her official Twitter account. A new era in publishing. I am honored to bring you Melania, the AI audiobook, narrated entirely using artificial intelligence in my own voice.
My story, my perspective, the truth.
It's always the same story of Donald Trump was doing something horrible and unconscionable, and look how great Melania looked. It's the only thing she seems to care about. And then lately, she's been doing these really, really weird fashion looks that seem to just be some form of sartorial dissociation. Don't even speak to me. I don't care about any of this. Like, this is so bizarre. Anyways, presenting Muse Films, my new production company, Melania the Film, exclusively in theaters worldwide on January 30th, 2026. So she started a production company essentially to release a film about herself, which I hope my thesis is starting to make sense here. Who does that? It's a documentary film, but they went with this aesthetic for it that is so like needlessly cinematic. I don't understand why you would shoot it like this. Unless none of this is actually real or means anything to you.
You can come in. Don't worry. Our proudest legacy will be that of peacemaker.
Peacemaker in the fire.
This is really a game to her. The Melania cinematic universe is on its way. If you're like, what does that mean? Amazon MGM's Melania Trump documentary to be released in theaters this January. So what it's supposed to be is following her in the 20 days leading up to Trump's 2025 inauguration when he took office for the second time. You're just getting a 3-week period of what that was like for his wife, right? Step inside Melania Trump's world as she orchestrates inauguration plans, navigates the complexities of the White House transition, and re-enters public life with her family. The movie will then later hit streaming, but will be accompanied by a 3-episode Melania Trump docuseries that will also stream on Prime Video. Sometimes I can feel myself getting pissed off. There's so many reasons for why this would piss you off. Here's my reason. You have studios actually tripping over themselves to throw money at the Trumps. Amazon, Disney, Netflix, and Paramount bid for the streaming rights. Disney offered $14 million, lost to Amazon's bid of $40 million to license the film and produce that follow-up docuseries on her, the highest price ever paid for a documentary. And when you think about how all of these things are going on, while simultaneously public media is being defunded, Trump calls PBS and NPR a waste of money at funding bill signing. He is pulling funding from people who are actually trying to make good things that help a lot of people. My life was changed by PBS. And so watching someone simultaneously try to write this out of existence because you don't agree with any sort of perceived bias, while other people fight to give you more money than you could possibly spend because you're richer than God, it is upsetting. Someone said we know bid means bribe. No, exactly. This is just the latest in a long line of Jeff Bezos' attempts to cozy up to the Trump administration. I would argue he's already cozied up at this point. Someone said they keep getting ads for this garbage on Twitter. Oh, you want to know why? Because their marketing budget for this was insane. Here you have this article from the Times. A 60-second black and white trailer for Melania the movie was projected onto the Sphere Arena in Las Vegas. It was the first lady's idea to buy that advertising, says her exclusive senior advisor and agent. So if you ever see an ad for this and get mad, be mad at Melania. She wants this for you. It says Melania, allegedly, positioned the cameras and adjusted lighting while they were filming. She sat in the studio as they were cutting the trailer. And I'm just like, this isn't a concert film, Melania. Why do you have this much input? There's obviously no semblance of unbiased anything happening here. I have to reiterate how abnormal it is to pay this much money for a documentary. In this Verge article, Melania documentary creators say its big price tag wasn't bribery, despite them spending $35 million on marketing, which is 10 times higher than the average spend for big documentaries. The First Lady herself is expected to personally pocket $27 million from Amazon's $40 million licensing deal. In what universe did Jeff Bezos need to pay the Trump family $27 million? This is obscene. Melania Trump says it's not a documentary at all, but in fact, a creative experience that offers perspectives, insights, and moments. You might be saying to yourself, that sounds like a whole lot of nothing. Just you wait. Anyways, I have been avoiding this, but we have to talk about the director, Brett Ratner. Oh, I literally just Googled him and you're getting results about the Epstein files. So unfortunately, I am familiar with some of the things in his very brief filmography. Rush Hour, iconic. Rush Hour 2. But you may notice something really weird here. You see how it's like 97, 98. He has these really big movies, Rush Hour, X-Men, etc. But then the last thing he ever directed was Hercules with Dwayne Johnson, which was not a great movie. I actually remember watching that when it came out. Very campy. You're like, wow, where has he been for these 12 years since Hercules? He's been blacklisted. Sexual harassment and misconduct. Various people came forward about his behavior. That's not even like the tip of the iceberg with this guy. He very much just surrounds himself with evil people constantly. Like here he is chumming it up with Tony Robbins, who has sexual misconduct allegations against him. Mike Tyson, who is like an actual convicted rapist. And it just goes on and on. Here he is, I kid you not, with Netanyahu. And if you're like, that can't be right, what do you mean by that? I'm being so serious when I tell you his Wikipedia says in his personal life section, he immigrated to Israel after getting hit with those allegations and his friends with Netanyahu. And he was in the Epstein files. And when I say in the Epstein files, I don't mean like, oh, somebody like mentioned him in an email or whatever. I mean that you are in pictures with Jeffrey Epstein while simultaneously claiming that you didn't know him and that this picture was the only time you were seen together. So yes, one person having all of these things going on. This was the person that Melania Trump was like, yeah, he's going to produce the heck out of this. She is just constantly surrounded by trash. I don't like feel sorry for her. She does this all the time. Any chance she has to align herself with the worst people, she's gonna do it. Yes, give me that Woody Allen publisher. Yes, give me this guy. It's just disgusting. So they had a special screening of this film at the Kennedy Center, which we've got footage from. Very, very cringe. The president just fully looks like he's being held hostage in all of these pictures, like he would rather be golfing. It doesn't get any less awkward. There is a little bit of interview footage here that I found quite illuminating as to Melania's intentions behind the film. So she's being asked, oh, Melania, what inspired you to make this movie?
Well, my life, it's incredibly busy. I want to show the people what it takes to go from private citizen to being a first lady again, from prepare to inauguration, running my business, family, and philanthropy, establishing East Wing. It's a lot of going on.
I really like how she just listed like 5 iterations of nothing and is like, yeah, there's a lot. So much going on in my documentary. When asked if she could sum up her documentary in 3 words, this is what she had to say.
I think the people will judge it for themselves. It's beautiful, it's emotional, it's fashionable, it's cinematic, and I'm very proud.
People are being murdered in the street, and the First Lady is at a press conference at the Kennedy Center talking about how fashionable and beautiful her new documentary series is. If you can understand why some people just have all the hater energy for this, this is why. There really are no repercussions for people like this, while for other people, this is actually life or death. You can get a $27 million paycheck when you're already rich, but other people can't even get healthcare. Like, I'm sorry. It's not a surprise. I'm not shocked. I just want to scream a lot and for a long time. That's how it makes me feel. Anyways, the movie comes out. Everybody has a chance to watch it. I want to first show you how people within this sphere are talking about the movie, and then we'll go ahead and take a look at something that I like to call reality. Let's go ahead and look at Clown World first. Yes, I have pulled a Fox News article. I just want you to see how unhinged and bad this is. Because I don't pay attention to Fox News, I forget how this could be considered news. Okay, the film Melania made nearly $8 million on its opening weekend, making it the highest grossing documentary in a decade. It is a huge win for the First Lady and a crushing defeat for those rooting against her. I've been crushed. We've been destroyed. Everybody here in this chat who's like, oh, I don't like Melania, you just got owned. Melania's hit documentary terrifies critics who desperately wanted her to fail. So they're explaining essentially that the director of Melania, Brett Ratner, who has previously helmed Hollywood blockbusters, wait, where's the part about where he's in the Epstein files and has the sexual harassment and misconduct allegations? Y'all didn't include that? Okay, that's interesting. So instead, we're describing Brett Ratner as an established brand in Hollywood. Ratner still took a risk making the film because Hollywood is traditionally in lockstep on politics and quick to cut off anyone who steps outside the line. It's easier to make a film like this in 2026 than it was in 2017, but only marginally so. It just goes on and on talking about, yes, critics hate it, but that's because they have a personal bias against Melania. I really can't do this anymore. That's enough Fox News for one day. I want to tell you how absolutely divorced from reality their claim is that this is a hit documentary. First of all, if you use your brain and you're like 40 million for licensing, 35 million for marketing, it sounds like you're saying this so far has a budget of like $75 million, and they are trying to brag about making just a few $1 million. That's what's happening here. That's not that much money. The documentary is bombing. This is pathetic. Look, a YouTuber's $3 million horror film just out-earned Melania Trump's $75 million documentary. Markiplier, YouTube OG. He dropped a movie in theaters called Iron Lung, which I wanted to watch, but I kind of got snowed in because we got hit with a crazy winter storm. Melania got outperformed by YouTubers. Like, I don't really understand why anybody would pretend that this is some sort of landmark success for Melania. Also, can we all just say thank you, Markiplier, for blocking the Melania Trump film? I don't think I've seen anybody saying that she had the biggest opening because they can't. It was Mark. How funny is that? A light at the end of the freaking tunnel. What you're gonna see a lot is this idea that this film is sold out everywhere. I'm not even gonna bother looking for the Trump tweet, truth, social post, whatever, but he was talking about, yes, this is a sold out film. This film is not sold out. Some people are obviously watching this. The Trump administration does have stands, believe it or not, but Wired conducted their own little investigation where they found 2 sold out Melania opening day screenings. Of the 1,400 showtimes that they looked at, the vast majority of those had open seats. Some of them were definitely fuller than others, but who was lining up to watch this? I wouldn't even pirate this movie to watch it. Here, you know what? I'm going to show you what the theater looks like that's near me. If I wanted to hop off of this stream right now and watch Melania later in the evening, it's Saturday. I would only have to contend with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, the 8 other people who are also watching Melania on a Saturday. These blue spots are available to me, and I'm not taking one of them, not even one. You know what I actually kept seeing? Because I was reading reviews for this. A lot of journalists were saying the only other people in their showings were other journalists who were there to write about the movie, which is hilarious. The main thing that critics are saying about it is not actually that it's horrible, not actually that it is like unwatchable trash or garbage. It's just kind of a nothing burger. Here's a review roundup. You have critics describing it as everything from a soothingly looped AI screensaver, saying the soundtrack was a collection of signifiers to nothing. Speaking of which, I really wish the administration would stop trying to use pop music or various forms of cool music to make themselves look cool. Do you know how many different celebrities at this point have had to call out the White House or various government-related organizations and say, stop using our music? People are trying to use this music to promote ICE. They're trying to use this music at this point to promote Melania. Look at this. The bizarre scene where she lip syncs the wrong words to Billie Jean by Michael Jackson, her favorite recording artist. And I'm just like scratching my head. Anyways, despite having an 8% on Rotten Tomatoes, you may notice a bit of a discrepancy here that it seems to have a 99 out of 100 from audience members. The 8 is from critics, but apparently, overwhelmingly, every single person who has ever watched this really loved it and gave it a 10 out of 10. If that sounds kind of strange to you, it kind of sounded strange to a lot of people, but no, these are allegedly verified ratings. Well done. Great music. Awesome representation of Melania. Beautiful music. Great movie. Really enjoyed it. My friend who's a Democrat enjoyed it too. It was entertaining, very informative. It wasn't a political film. I enjoyed it. I'm sorry, these aren't real reviews. I'm not saying that nobody actually watched this movie or like every single one of these 1,000+ reviews is fake. What I'm saying is these aren't even reviewing the movie. Great documentary, very interesting is not a review. Okay, you've got like a slightly longer one here, and that might be something. But how come the vast majority of these are just like beautifully done, sophistication and class, amazing first lady? Dude, this is weird. It was to the point where Rotten Tomatoes themselves had to come out and be like, guys, it's not bots. It's not. Rotten Tomatoes owner says Melania's 99% audience score is not bot manipulation. Okay, Rotten Tomatoes. Sure. I don't want to hammer this point home too hard because low key, who else would be buying tickets to this? But that doesn't change the fact that these are the most bot-coded reviews I have ever seen for a movie. By the way, out of all the reviews that I read, can I tell you what the most like wild moment was? The sharpest little bit of writing that we got. There was this one review. It was in The Atlantic. It says Melania shows off her custom-made inauguration gown, stark white with black ribbons overlaying it, a dress that now looks unavoidably like the redacted Epstein files. And I was like, what does an redacted Epstein files dress look like? I pulled it up. And I was like, oh my God, bro, she walked out in the redaction dress. Critics were tripping over themselves trying to have the single smartest line about this dumb movie. That was the #1 line right there. I just about died. Anyways, now that this has happened, there's a bunch of various controversies floating around that I'm not going to get into. Maybe I'll just tell you my 3 favorite Melania controversies. My first would be, I'm sorry, this is so funny. Military pressured to see Melania against their will. People are scared, says the Daily Beast. A military group has evidence of troops being ordered into the theater, the movie theater. People in the armed forces, the United States Armed Forces, are being pressured by their higher ups like, you have to go watch this movie. Go watch it. Nobody that I know wanted to go, except for those that did not want to get jacked up by our unit commander for not attending, someone said, according to a letter seen by this journalist. So that's funny. Let's try to force the military to watch this since nobody else is buying tickets. I guess my second favorite one would be the fact that the movie got canceled by an entire country. Melania Trump documentary pulled from South African theaters. They were like, never mind. The film's local distributor said on Wednesday it would no longer release it. Nobody wants to watch this movie. Nobody wants to show this movie. How do you get canceled by an entire country? And then the last one I have is Amazon just throwing a hissy fit over one theater making fun of them. Oregon Theater says Amazon pulled Melania movie over jokes about the doc in its marquee. So apparently they were just doing silly things like this, showing the movie, but also putting their thoughts about it. It says right here, Amazon called, our marquee made them mad. All Melania's shows canceled. Show your support at Whole Foods instead. Someone said this is embarrassing. This is beyond embarrassing. It's splintered off into a collection of mini dramas, each of which is just a race to the bottom. So there's a lot more things that you could say about the Melania film for sure. I think I've kind of covered my main points. Melania is just in her own world, dude. All the disaster I just showed you, she's actually saying Melania the film, #1 highest opening in 10 years for a documentary, loved by all, A from Cinema Score. And I'm like, okay, Melania, If that's what you need to tell yourself to sleep at night, go off, I guess. At one point, she was catching flack essentially for promoting her documentary during actual political discussions. Melania Trump referenced her documentary at a White House event with former hostages. She says, talking about her meeting with these hostages, it was an emotional meeting and it is captured on camera and available to see in my film, Melania, Trump said in remarks in the Blue Room at an event meant to celebrate hostages' release. That's unhinged. Someone actually clocked her, if you would believe this.
Why do you feel it is appropriate to use an official White House event to promote your documentary?
This is not promotion. We are here celebrating the release of the hostages. They were in Washington, D.C., and they called me. They said they would like to come over to thank me and to give hugs, and that's why we are here. There's nothing to do with promotion.
She's not a good person. I think I said in the beginning of the video, I don't like this topic. I don't like it thematically, but I really do love how it shows what kind of person it takes to be complicit. You have to be like this. You have to literally see everything around you as some sort of opportunity. Obviously, that's why you're marrying Donald Trump. Obviously, that's why you're not caring about the things that are happening to other people. And so to close this out, I feel like Melania can close it out best herself. I don't really care. Do you? Y'all remember when she wore that jacket? This kept flashing through my head the entire time. I don't either. Me neither, Melania. I care about people. Not you, though. It's really wild to take this sort of stance when it comes to things that are affecting people's lives, but that has been and is always going to be her. Anyway, hopefully you never, and I do mean never, have to think about the Melania Trump documentary, not documentary, whatever, ever again. I know I'm going to try not to. And yeah, I actually recorded this video live right here on YouTube, where I stream quite frequently. Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays at 12 p.m. Eastern time. Unless I don't. In which case, I am probably sleeping. I don't know. It's on you, not me. Anyway, I hope to see you in the next stream or video, but if I don't, it doesn't matter at all, actually. Okay, bye!